Hi, and welcome to My ADHD Superpower Is, a podcast about reframing ADHD by focusing on what we excel at, both in our professional and personal lives. My name is Shan, and I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 42. I always believed that you had to be an 8-year-old fidgety boy to get diagnosed with ADHD. It wasn't until I read an article about ADHD in women that I realised I had many of the same struggles and characteristics growing up. For years, I labelled myself as lazy or useless at certain things that others found really easy, like paying bills or attending and remembering appointments. And the ADHD diagnosis meant that I finally had an explanation for those struggles. ADHD isn't always a superpower, but by choosing to focus on our unique strengths and by being more accepting and forgiving of our weaknesses, I believe that we can live happier, more fulfilled lives. You're in the right place if you want to know how you can survive and thrive with ADHD in the corporate environment and how you can juggle many hobbies and be a parent and generally succeed at adulting in a neurotypical world. Hi, and on today's episode we're going to talk a little bit about ADHD and exercising. Now, I've been exercising for probably around 10 or 11 years, but I wasn't always like this. I used to be really, really lazy and really overweight. I hardly did any kind of exercise beyond a little bit of walking. So I just thought I'd share a little bit about my journey and kind of what got me into exercising, how I think it kind of helped me with my symptom management, and also just really wanted to kind of share some strategies for helping you to kind of get off your butt and do some exercise. First of all, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I got into exercise in the first place. I was on the train traveling into London. I had a job in London in an advertising agency, and I saw an advert in the local free paper called the Metro for a trip to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I don't really know what drove me or what I was thinking, to be honest. Maybe I wasn't really thinking. And I think this is part of the ADHD impulsivity, but I just decided to sign up very, very quickly afterwards, maybe a couple of days. Yeah, so I think I signed up, and then it was around 9 months until the actual trip. So I signed up for the local gym. I kind of went in there and did my own thing, got on a bike and walked on the treadmill and did couch to 5K, but all very, very kind of half-heartedly, and I didn't really change much of my diet, just kind of switched out a few things. So I did lose a little bit of weight. I did lose, a few kilos, but I still had really a significant amount to lose, and I still wasn't super fit. I wasn't really fit enough to climb Kilimanjaro. Anyway, when I actually got in Tanzania and I arrived and they did the briefing for, what was going to happen and that we were going to be up on the mountain for 8 days, I thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? I was looking around and other people looked much fitter than me, and just, I think the realization hit me, like, what am I doing here? When I actually got on the mountain, there were several things that were a little bit of a shock for me. First of all, we're obviously walking for, 8 hours a day and walking up constantly and, walking at altitude, which is something that I wasn't able to train for, kind of hiking in the UK. I didn't really sleep very well because I'm not really a kind of camping type person. And of course, most of, all of the sleeping, in fact, is in a tent. So that was fun. So I didn't have any sleep. I probably wasn't prepared enough. And to top it all off, I didn't really have anyone kind of to talk to about how I was feeling. I felt like I was the only person there who was kind of struggling. And when I would try and say, oh, I'm really struggling, I would kind of have people say, oh, well, I'm not struggling. I'm fine. I'm really enjoying myself. And that just really was very triggering for me. And I just felt completely isolated and I just felt really, really terrible. Because, nobody sympathized with me. Nobody was going through the same thing as me. And I didn't feel very supported. And on the final day, I wasn't able to go up, and summit because I was really, really suffering from altitude sickness. So I was the only person who ended up staying all night and all day back at the camp. And I just remember crying for hours and hours and hours because I just felt so useless. I felt, I had failed, basically. I felt a huge amount of shame. And yeah, the whole experience was just really awful. And yeah, it was a real shock to the system. But one of the great things about ADHD, and I think one of the superpowers of ADHD, is just how resilient we are. And I think we have to be really resilient because we're constantly masking, we're constantly trying to sort of get by in this world that's designed for people who don't think and act in the same way that we do. So yeah, I think people with ADHD are incredibly resilient. After that trip, my kind of sole purpose in life, I guess, and my hyper focus, I guess, was I need to change. It was just such a shock. I couldn't go on like that anymore. I couldn't go on with being overweight and unhealthy and unfit. Something drastic needed to change. So it really was instant. I kind of landed, got home, went on the internet, found a coach, found a Slimming World group, and within 4 months I'd run a half marathon in a pretty decent time as well, like 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I'd lost all of the excess weight and was really kind of a normal weight for my height because I'm quite small. So yeah, it was an incredible kind of a moment of awakening. I think we all have them. They can be really shocking, but I use that really horrible experience and all of that negativity for good. And that was the start of my exercise journey. I no longer run now, and I don't really do running races and things like that. I mean, I have a 3-year-old son now, and I have quite a busy job, but I always try and do some kind of exercise every day. And that can range from kind of 15 minutes to an hour. It really depends. And now I'm not doing so much sort of cardio, things like running and, going on the bike and things. I'm doing a mixture. So I'll typically start by doing something like a minimum of 5-minute or 10-minute HIIT session, just as a nice warm up, and then I'll do a weight session. The way I see exercise is just do it. Just get it done. Don't wait until you feel like you want to do a workout. Don't wait until you get the motivation, because that will never come. Because even though I love exercise and I love the feeling afterwards, getting started is the hard part. So what I'll typically say to myself is just do 5 or 10 minutes. If I'm having a really bad day and I really, really don't feel like doing this workout, then start with 10 minutes, see how you feel. It's only 10 minutes, that will go really quickly. And then if you don't want to do any more workout, then don't, you've done at least 10 minutes, that's fine. 9 times out of 10, I'll do the 10 minutes workout and then I'll want to continue because it feels so good. So yeah, that's one of the strategies that I have at the moment. And the other thing is, for years I've been following Julia Buckley's programs, and she has so many programs. And that what I like about her is it's a video. You feel like she's in the room. You feel like you can't cheat. You have to continue doing her video. And she has a really great Facebook page. There's lots of good support on there. And yeah, typically most of her programs are kind of like 30 minutes workout, which is a really good time. I find that you can kind of fit into your life. I'll do her workouts. I'll follow her program. It's very clear. Monday you do you're doing this workout, Tuesday this, and so on. So it's harder to kind of not do those workouts because it's all set for you. It's all organized. You just need to get out of bed, get your workout clothes on and do it. And you can do it at home. And I think for somebody like me who works from home, that's really great. Okay, so that's a little bit about me and how I love exercise and always try and kind of incorporate that into my life. But why do we need to exercise, And there's lots of reasons, because healthy body, healthy mind, and there's a ton of data out there really that shows that if you look after your body, and by that I mean, reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, obesity and things like diabetes. This has been shown to reduce the risk of things like stroke and even things like neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So there are huge benefits to exercising and keeping your body healthy. And one of the other things is when you have ADHD or increased risk of obesity, and this might be because of impulsive eating, and kind of reaching for that sugar and the dopamine hit. So if you have higher risk of obesity, then that increases your risk of things like Alzheimer's disease. So there's additional risks that come into play with ADHD, which make it even more important to kind of get healthy and exercise. But there are other things as well. For me, I feel that if I don't exercise, then I feel a bit stressed and I feel unfocused. So there are also benefits on kind of cognitive function that I definitely feel myself. And just for me, it's just part of my daily routine. So if I have a really bad day, I didn't get anything done on my to-do list, I can always say that I did some exercise and I feel like I've achieved something. There's lots of benefits to exercise. I think for anyone starting out, don't go crazy. Don't sign up for a really extreme program because that will put you off exercise. But just kind of really start slowly. I mean, that's kind of what I did. Really, I started out walking, going to the gym, just going on the bike, climbing up the stairs instead of, taking the elevator, just making small changes. And then once you get some level of fitness, then, you can start doing the classes at the gym or have a personal trainer or start doing workouts yourself and maybe buy some weights and things that you can use at your home. That's what I suggest. And also choose something that you love, something fun, because I think if it's fun, then you'll stick with it. I really loved running because of the great community and the rewards as well, because there's lots of races and you get a medal that you can look at and appreciate, and you get that kind of dopamine rush that you've achieved something. But, it could be boxing, it could be, some kind of team sport. There's all kinds of brilliant exercising opportunities out there. Just got to find the thing that you love, because I think then you're more likely to stick with it. There's all sorts of really cool like gamification options as well. So there's one that I blogged about called Zombie Run. That's a great one because that makes you kind of run a bit faster and things because you're being chased by zombies. But other things that you can do to kind of mimic that is maybe kind of give yourself a reward when you've completed something. So yeah, just a few tips there, and really a bit of why it's important to exercise with ADHD. And let me know how your exercising is going. And yeah, if you use any of these tips, I'd love to hear. And that's that for today's episode. Bye everyone. And that's the end of this week's episode. Stay tuned and hit follow if you like what you hear, and look out for new episodes coming every Sunday. Thanks for listening.